Hello, welcome to another video by Indicator Vault. This is Ronald, and in today's video we're going to go over the Harmonic Pattern PRO. This is for Tradingview, and you can see I've just got the settings pulled up. I want to just briefly go over some of this. The first two things here, swing search depth and price proximity percent. These are the default settings. If you increase this, you'll typically see fewer patterns. And then, of course, the lower it goes, you'll see some more patterns go up. I personally like the default settings. And then here as well, if you just click it, it will go up by 1, and you'll see it'll show a lot more patterns. And of course, you know, this isn't as bad as far as finding many different opportunities to get in depending on how you trade. For instance, with this, obviously we can see it's picking up a whole lot of patterns, but it is showing reaction from where, you know, you can pick these up at. You just have to be extremely nimble to catch all these moves. But personally, the default setting of 0.2 I believe will find you the highest probability setups and patterns. Then of course you can choose which ones it picks up and the colors and the max look back range. And I do want to point out we do have a dashboard version of this as well. That is very helpful and very convenient to use. So there's a number of different ways you can trade these harmonic patterns, and you know there's other indicators that go great with this, and I'll pull some of those up later as far as, you know, a two-part confirmation or confluence to trade some of these. But you know, very simply, you know, the indicator picks up these patterns, will tell you what kind it is, bearish or bullish, and then the pattern type. And so there's a few ways to look at some of these. For instance, this bearish Cypher pattern. For one, if this pattern is going to work out, you're going to at least see this low taken out. Whatever the most, in this sense, a bearish pattern, whatever the most recent low is, you're going to see it taken out. If it's going to actually play out. And then of course the opposite is true for a bullish. The most recent high should be taken out. Also, another confluence I like to use is the most recent swing, whether it's a swing up or swing down. In this instance, this swing up, the last leg of the pattern. There's two areas I like to look for price to reach. Not just here for the low. Yes, if you get in, you can take partials here. But specifically, the 1.27 will be a good place to take partials. And then, while it didn't quite get down here, you're going to see the second standard deviation of this leg up also be highly sensitive to price. And so that's a great, really that's going to be a great place to take full profit. You know, it's not very high probability you'll see it go to a third leg. And the thing is, if it actually does go to a third leg, you'll more than likely see another pattern form first. And so typically the 1.27 or the 2 would be a great place to look for partials. And of course the opposite is true on the bullish side. So a couple other ways to look for entry type patterns. Well, for one, the last candle that is going to form and complete the pattern, as we can see here, this last up candle, you want to look for signs to validate that as a supply zone. And so we see that perfectly here. These last two up candles are completely engulfed with this down candle. So we can take the highest up close candle. We find the opening price. Look at that. Barely stays above it. a great entry. This, of course, on the daily chart, you could even probably refine your zone even more down there. But this is just a textbook bearish pattern playing out. Comes back into supply, specifically the supply candle that formed and completed the pattern, and then price just tanks. Now here we are on the Euro US dollar 4-hour chart, and you can see here we've got two bullish patterns that have formed, and we're just going to kind of briefly go into breaking these down some. And now I'm going to pull up and just briefly show the other indicator that I like to use for here, the order block gen, and there's some others like the Logic day trade Pro as well. Works wonderful for this. But if I turn this on, of course we can see it'll pick up bullish and bearish order blocks. However, when we have these patterns, we're only going to be filtering out just the bullish ones. So let's go into this one first. We see the bullish butterfly has formed with this last up candle. Now, we don't take up candles into account as far as our supply demand or our order block zones. But with this on, we can see it picks up the zone, takes into account this one. We see the break of structure above this high. Price breaks above it. What does it does? What does it do? Wicks back into the zone, right into this gap, into the order block. We can get into an entry somewhere down here. And then what does it do? It completes the pattern, goes above here, easily goes above here. And another target we could have is this supply or this bearish order block, which eventually does go back up into there as well. And also, like I said, a good take profit levels. Easily gets, above this high. Easily gets to the 1.27. Doesn't reach the second, but that's why we take partials. And of course, seeing this reaction and then this bearish order block would have been signs to get out anyway. So again, just, very simple confirmation with these here to get into this buy after this retracement and flies up. Now, let's get into this one. And basically the same thing. Now the order block gen picks up this entire area, but for me personally, I like to use down candles, like I said, and when there's long wicks, I like to just use the opening or the closes to find my zone. So again, bullish pattern completes with the down candle. Price breaks above this high already. So again, while it's already has met kind of the first take profit level, you do have to take into account that there's still going to be some more upside for one, because it reset in one candle. With this super strong move, we can expect just a retracement and then continuation upwards. And then if we also take into account the fib levels, the 127 had not been reached, and so that could be a great take profit level, like I said. And then the second standard deviation had also not been met, which we see it eventually easily gets up there. So those are just some ways to view take profit levels, entry zones, again, the sensitivity to the supply zone here. And it, comes down, even though it takes us out here, we've already taken partials up here, and we see it continue. Another entry could have been taken down here as well. Another entry method could be that once the pattern completes, no matter what this candle is, whether it's a down or an up candle, we can take an entry as a buy market order once it breaks above this high of the candle, and then we put our stop below here somewhere. And that's typically what you're going to want to do anyway. If you're using this as the supply demand zone, your stop's going to be below here. And then it's just really about finding a good entry and, you know, managing your risk as far as how much you're, you know, percentage wise you're going to risk on each trade. And eventually, you know, obviously takes out this high, you know, quite easily. And so this is just a brief overview of the Harmonic Pattern Pro, and they can be really easy patterns to trade with and to find entries in. You know, it's already given you the bias as far as what to look for, and that the bias can stay intact with these certain levels, like I pointed out. You know, even though it takes out here, the other fib levels, we are still having a bullish bias with this example until it reaches those, or until it takes out this low. And then we will just wait until the next pattern forms, you know, and then also put on something like the order block gen or the logic day trade indicator to also just highlight certain zones we can enter in. So this is the Harmonic Pattern Pro. I hope this video was helpful, and until next time, best of luck trading.